What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Beat of Business with me, Ravi Wadan. And today we're going to be reviewing ProShares' new Metaverse ETF, which trades under the ticker symbol VERS. ProShares is a premium provider of ETFs, and VERS is their newest ETF that launched a couple of weeks ago on March 15th, 2022. And since its inception on March 15th, 2022, it's been off to a really hot start. And had you invested $10,000 into this fund when it launched on March 15th, today that $10,000 would be worth a little over $11,139. As you can see, this ETF has been on an absolute tear, with it being up 11.4% since inception. But let's take a step back and learn about this ETF in more detail. Now, why am I doing this video? Well, this is a financial education channel, and reviewing and researching index funds and ETFs are at the core of what I do. The other reason is that there are countless articles like this one that was published in Bloomberg that are predicting that the metaverse could be an $800 billion market over the coming years, and it could be the next big tech platform, essentially replacing the current internet. And one of the great ways to invest in the metaverse is through a well-diversified, hands-off ETF like this one that tracks and invests in companies that are spearheading the metaverse movement. Let's start off with talking about the fund's investment objective, which reads that the ProShares Metaverse ETF seeks investment results before fees and expenses that track the performance of the Solactive Metaverse Theme Index. And we'll cover the Solactive Metaverse Theme Index in greater detail later in this video, because it really plays a huge role in how this ETF invests and is structured. So why should you invest in this Metaverse ETF? Well, according to ProShares, there are three primary reasons. The metaverse is an immersive virtual world where people can work, play, and interact. The companies shaping the metaverse span sectors and industries, from the production of hardware to social media and gaming platforms. VERS offers access to the metaverse ecosystem in a single ETF. The fund tracks a forward-looking index designed to capture the metaverse opportunity as it evolves. And with that, let's learn more about the fund. The fund has an inception date of March 15th, 2022. It trades under ticker symbol VERS. It trades on the New York Stock Exchange, and it has an expense ratio of 0.58%. And to put 0.58% into perspective, if you were to invest $1,000 into this fund, it would cost you roughly $5.80 a year in annual fees. And if you were to invest $10,000 into this fund, it would cost you roughly $58 a year in annual fees. Now, in terms of the sector weightings of this fund, media and entertainment makes up 30.67% of this fund, semiconductors make up 24.95% of this fund, software and services take up 17.78%, technology, hardware, and equipment make up 12.16%, retailing 5.16%, consumer durables and apparel 4.29%, real estate 2.53%, healthcare equipment and services 2.46%. Now, in terms of the top 10 index companies, aka the top 10 holdings of this fund, we have Apple Inc. at 8.44%, Alphabet at 6.51%, Microsoft at 6.31%, Meta Platforms at 6.2%, Nvidia Corporation at 5.98%, Himax Technologies at 5.14%, Amazon at 4.76%, Vuzix Corp at 3.15%, Snap at 3.13%, and Siva Inc. at 2.96%. Now, as you may have noticed, the metaverse may be new, but the companies that are really spearheading the metaverse movement are some of the biggest tech names in the world that we are already familiar with. And if we take a look at the complete holdings of the fund, there are about 40 other companies that this fund invests in that you may or may not be familiar with. And in terms of the country weightings of this fund, 86.41% of this fund invests in the United States, 5.37% in China, 5.14% in Taiwan, a province of China, 1.96% in Singapore, and 1.13% in Japan. Now, if you guys follow this channel, you'll know that I did a video on the Roundhill Ball Metaverse ETF about a month ago, and that fund is very similar to this fund. I mean, it's a Metaverse ETF at the end of the day. But one key difference between these two ETFs is that the Roundhill Ball Metaverse ETF tracks the Ball Metaverse Index that is comprised of approximately 44 companies. And this ProShares Metaverse ETF tracks the Solactive Metaverse Theme Index, which is comprised of approximately 50 different companies. And to get a better understanding of what the Solactive Metaverse Theme Index is, let's go back to the fund's fact sheet because it does a great job of describing the index methodology that this fund heavily leverages. The index is designed to track the performance of companies that have or are expected to have significant exposure to the provision of products and or services that contribute to the metaverse industry as determined by the index methodology. Companies must generate at least 50% of their revenue from metaverse-related business operations to be eligible for the index as determined by the index provider. To be considered for the index provider uses an automatic scan of company filings and other public information to identify companies with exposure to the metaverse industry based on related keywords. Each company identified receives a score that reflects its exposure to the metaverse industry. Companies without relevant business operations are removed. Then the index provider ranks the remaining companies, and the top 40 companies, as determined by ranking and certain turnover requirements, are selected into the index. Selected companies are weighted using a modified equal weight approach, with companies with relatively higher scores receiving additional weight. The 10 largest companies by market capitalization also receive additional weight. Companies must be listed on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ and meet certain market capitalization and FactSet classification requirements. The index is reconstituted and rebalanced semi-annually. Now, the reason that I spent some time going through the index methodology is because this fund essentially tracks this index, and if you don't know how the index works, you don't really know the reasoning behind this ETF's holdings. But as always, if you have any other questions, let me know in the comment section below and I will definitely get back to you. Now, in terms of how you buy this fund, I think most of you watching are familiar with this, but if you are not, buying an ETF is just like buying a stock. So all you need to do is type in this ticker symbol in whatever brokerage platform that you use, like Robinhood or TD Ameritrade or M1 Finance, and you just invested in the metaverse. In terms of my thoughts on this ETF, I think it's a great way to invest in the metaverse, but I think it's a little too new on the market for my taste. I would like to wait for a few more months or maybe half a year to see how the performance of this fund truly plays out. And by waiting, I can see how this ETF and its competitors pan out in terms of the index methodologies that they use and their underlying performance. But with that being said, if you're very bullish on the metaverse and its potential, I think that this ETF is a great way to get diversified exposure to companies that are leading the metaverse charge. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to give this video a big thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe to my channel for more financial education content like this. With that, I'll see you all next time.
I'm gonna buy some Bitcoin. I'm gonna buy some Ether. I'm gonna buy some